Good morning, students. So it is currently March 19th, 2020, and we are going to go ahead and continue with our lessons. So today, your objective is to complete your water cycle module. So module 2 is your goal today, and to complete the water cycle module. So first, you're going to start with vocabulary. When you click on the vocabulary link, today is going to be a Nearpod. As a reminder, please go ahead and sync this to your Google Drive so that as you take notes, you can make sure that you're saving them somewhere that you can find them, because remember, you can use those notes for the quizzes. The second thing that I'm going to need you to do today is going to be your water cycle instruction. So when you click on your water cycle instruction, it is going to take you to a CK12. So CK12 is something that we haven't used prior in the classroom, but it's really easy to navigate. So you are going to read through your details regarding the water cycle and what you need to know. As you go through, if you click on any of these words, I want you to notice that it will in fact take you to other resources. So notice I can read a little bit further about it. I can watch a video about it, practice it. So if there's any kind of like content that you're not understanding within the confines of this lesson, you can always click to explore more about the topic. One thing that I do want you to do today is when you do get here, you will hit start practice once you're done reading. So when you start your practice, it's going to give you some practice questions. So I'm just going to go ahead and click and start practicing. So when I start practicing, you're going to have to scroll down, hit start practicing. It's going to give me 10 questions, and it's going to determine my skill level as I go. So please do not stop practicing until you've actually achieved an expert level in your content. So I'm going to go back to home. So we're doing vocab, we're doing our instruction. And then you have clouds. So clouds is in fact a Nearpod. It's a lot more in depth than anything we've talked about in class about clouds. So it talks about radiation, it talks about why clouds are important, not just how they're formed. So make sure again that you're using those features on Nearpod to take notes. And also, if it's easier, you can still just take notes in notebooks. That's perfectly fine too. Then lastly, you have your water cycle quiz. So before we get started, I just want to talk to you about our water cycle misconceptions. So on our quiz yesterday, we had 33 students log on yesterday. So I did put one question regarding the water cycle on that quiz just to kind of see where we are. And yeah, we're averaging an 83 on atmosphere, so I'm happy and I'm glad that we can move on. Yesterday, we had gotten that number from 16 to 30. So again, I just want to shout out the 30 students who actually completed our atmosphere unit. Ayana, Cadence, Tahila, Kimberly, Jake and Alani, Kalia, Luke, Joanna and Victor, Tristan, Zari, Dejan, Jay, Ben, Najee, Kyler, Adriana, Ava, Zion, Jennifer, Luciana, Vasilisa, Aralai, Sarah, Clara, Alexa, Jessica, Noah, and Dion. Thank you so much for completing the atmosphere unit and kind of getting me that data that I needed, or rather that we needed to kind of move forward. Currently, we're averaging an 83% on the atmosphere unit. So as you log on, please continue to work at that level to make sure that you're mastering the content and exploring the resources, because guys, I have never seen an 83% from us, and I'm so happy and I'm so proud. So let's keep at it. So water cycle. Today we're doing our water cycle, and like I said, I have one water cycle question on your atmosphere quiz. So as a reminder, some important vocab to take us through this water cycle unit would be troposphere. Why? Because we live in the troposphere, and that's where all weather occurs. Clouds, water cycle, evaporation, and altitude. So, a misconception. Altitude doesn't affect water vapor. Eh, that's not true. So we know the higher that we go, it affects temperature. So in the troposphere, the higher that we travel, the less temperature we have. So as altitude increases, air pressure decreases. I hope you said it with me. If not, that's embarrassing, but it's okay. Well, as altitude increases, air temperature decreases in the troposphere, which actually has an effect on the water cycle. So in our question, we had it labeled 1, 2 where these clouds are, 3 and 4, and the question was which of the following is true. So the correct answer that is that location 4 receives the least amount of precipitation. So what's happening is as altitude is increasing, temperature is decreasing. So as our water evaporates from this windward side of the mountain, it travels up, and as this air is cooling down, it's going to start to rain. So all that evaporation is going to be essentially like kind of wrung out of the air. So by the time it gets to the top of the mountain into the leeward side and it starts warming up, all that water has already been lost. So you end up with a really arid and dry water content, ugh, humidity on the other side of the mountain. So again, as you're moving up, that air is cooling. So as it's cooling, it's going to be raining. So you're going to be losing that water and it's running off to the ocean. And so as our water is traveling over this mountaintop, most of the water has been like wrung out of the air. So when we get to this side, it's going to be significantly drier. So your answer should have been location 4. So another misconception, this isn't from the test, but this is just from prior data that I was going through as I was looking at your assessments on Mastery Connect. There's a misconception that the water cycle simply involves freezing and melting of water. That's not true. So water is a finite resource. Most things have water. So, the human body has water, plants have water content. So it's not just water freezing and melting, it's actually water evaporating and condensing and running off. So all of these processes, it's not just, oh, the ice caps are melting. I need you to understand that these phases all play a very important role in the water cycle. And our final misconception is that water only gets evaporated from the ocean or lakes, and this is false. Again, the human body contains water. So perspiration, when we perspirate, that water is evaporated from our bodies and back into the air. So it's returned. Like when we talked about earlier this year, you might be drinking dinosaur pee. All of that water is eventually going to be evaporated out and returned to the atmosphere. Plants sweat. All of that water is going to be returned to the atmosphere. So water typically does not stay locked into different phases unless there's like extreme temperature differentials. But for the most part, most things release water. It could be plants, animals, puddles, or just from the ground. So thank you so much. I hope you have a great day. For my Spanish learners, I know this has been a little bit of a challenge. Thank you for doing the quizzes anyway. If you go to module 1, I'm going to go ahead and add a atmosphere kind of Spanish edition so that we can practice a little bit more today. So continue with the water cycle. Spanish learners, see that video before you continue. Again, have a great day.